Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rise with Us. We're really excited to start off this new podcast series for Rise, where each episode is designed to help agents take immediate action inside of Rise and walk away with a clear initiative. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Kelly. I'll be co hosting with Taylor, and we're really excited to get into the series with you.
Yeah. So today we're actually starting with a big one, which is building a database with an actual conversion strategy. And let's be honest, most agents have contacts somewhere. Maybe they're in a CRM, maybe they're in their phone, maybe they're in a spreadsheet, maybe they're scattered across all three, which seems to be more common. But having contacts in the same is not the same as having a strategy.
Exactly. And today's focus is really about contact management. More specifically, though, how to communicate with your contacts in a smarter, intentional way using Rise. This comes up for a lot of agents. They have contacts, but they're not always sure what to do with them. Sometimes they don't send anything because they're afraid to send the wrong thing. Sometimes they send one message to everyone because they're thinking, well, I got to get something out there.
Right. And I feel like that's where we get into what we always joke about, throwing spaghetti at a wall.
Exactly.
And it's really just not a strategy. So we really want to talk about how you can make it a strategy.
We're going to go through a few simple actions agents can take to start making smarter decisions, better organize their contacts into groups, and ultimately get better results from their marketing.
Yes. So let's start with the database problem and the targeting problem that a lot of real estate agents run into. When you're using different tools to market your sphere, it's easy to think, I just need to send something. But the real question is, who are you sending it to? And why would it matter to them? And that's really where segmentation comes in.
Yeah. So when we talk about this, it's the most important thing to really focus in on. It's one of the biggest challenges for agents. And if they're not starting to think in terms of targets and segments, they think just clients generally, which I get it, makes sense for an agent. They're real people they're working with, they've talked to, they've met at open houses or connected with in real life. But when you're using a tool like Rise to market to your sphere, you do need to step back and ask, who are these people? What do I know about them? What matters to them? What stage are they at in the buying process? What have we already looked at? What have we already talked about? And once you start thinking about those things, it becomes much easier to group people in ways that make sense and let you make smarter marketing decisions.
I couldn't agree more. I really think starting with the basics, like buyers and sellers, is a good first step. But you can also get a lot more specific with that, especially in Rise.
Right. Maybe you have growing families that you're working with, or people that are looking at rural areas. They could be downsizing or first time home buyers. Maybe they're past clients or investors or people that are relocating. You know your contacts, so it's easier to send them something that feels relevant when you put some of that insight that you have into Rise so that you can automate things and make smart decisions.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a really good point. That relevance is what really drives the engagement. Like if you're sending one broad message to your entire database, there's a much smaller chance that it's going to live with everyone. But if you create a smaller group that's more intentional and you send them something that actually speaks directly to their needs, their interests, that message has a much better chance of making an impact than if we're throwing spaghetti at a wall.
Exactly. And I think it's really important to talk about what happens when agents don't do that. So, when you're blasting something out to everyone in the database all at once, what kind of negative impacts can this have on your marketing?
Yeah, I mean, well, the first thing is engagement, which is a key part of email marketing. People get a lot of emails. And if your email feels like another generic mass marketing message, something about the entire state or a broad market update that doesn't really apply to them, they're probably not going to open it. And if they do open it once and it doesn't feel useful, they might not open the next one. And that matters, especially because every email that you send is either building trust or weakening it. So if you're going to spend time creating content, which we know it takes some time, you really want to reinforce that you understand your market, your clients, and you want people to see you as the expert. But if that message doesn't match what they care about, it's not going to have the same effect.
Yeah, and I think that trust piece is huge because people are not opening emails if it doesn't resonate, right? The impact on your future emails is there too. So your contacts might start to assume, oh, that's probably not for me and skip it, or this isn't really worth my time and skip it. But when you start to consistently send things that feel valuable and really resonate and are relevant to your contacts, that creates a really great trust loop. And you're teaching these people that you're sending something that matters and it's worth their time to open. It increases the likelihood that they'll engage with you over time, that your name is going to mean something to them. And this is one of those things that once you start doing it, you're going to be able to build off of it as you go forward.
Yeah. And atop of that, I know contact segmentation and just the management of your entire sphere can start to feel overwhelming, especially if you look at your database and maybe you have 500 contacts, 2,000, 10,000, and suddenly the idea of tagging or segmenting everyone feels really impossible. But it's really important to remember when looking at segmentation that done is better than perfect. You don't need to clean up your entire database in one day.
Absolutely. Any bit of information you can add to your contacts helps you make smarter decisions tomorrow. Even if you just simply go in and tag a handful of past clients, that's still a meaningful step forward and something you can use every single day to build on.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you start with people you worked with before, label them as past client. That alone will give you a useful group to communicate with differently than a typical buyer or seller in your sphere. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to have a start. And starting is sometimes the hardest part, but I promise it's for the best.
It's worth it. And that little bit of work and that start compounds over time. Every tag that you add, every detail that you fill in, every group that you create moves you towards doing better and smarter marketing, gives you stronger communication, better strategy for your business.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Kelly. Beyond like relevance, how do you think that tags and groups actually translate into better marketing execution?
Yeah, well, once you start organizing your contacts, you begin to build a better experience. You can bring in a batch of new clients, and if you have a habit of tagging them as new clients when you bring them in, you can create a marketing experience that's designed to welcome them every single time you bring in that type of contact. So this is true for new clients, but this is also something that you could do anytime you're bringing in a specific marketing persona that some people might say. You can get follow up touches built into that system, and they're going to learn more and more about your services and how you support them over time as an agent. It's powerful because it's marketing that's not random. It's
Mm,
structure, it's intentional, it matches the person that you're connecting with, and it builds that relationship.
that's such a good point. Every contact in any database is in some kind of stage with you, right? Some are brand new, some are active buyers, some are past clients, some are sellers that you're just nurturing, and some may not be ready yet, but they're still considered part of your sphere. And each of those stages, I think, really call for different messaging. So if you don't have any indication where someone is in your database, it becomes much harder for you to send the right content at the right time.
Exactly. And a little more structure gives you the ability to make better decisions. This is where smart groups and Rise come in. One of the things that we're super excited about for agents who use Rise is smart groups. It's a tool that allows you to group your contacts in an automatic filtered way based on criteria instead of tagging every single one individually. You can label, of course, you always have that as an option, and that's a great starting point. But smart groups let you set criteria so that these groupings happen automatically, and you can build those messages to send dynamically to these groups based on that criteria.
Yes, I love the smart groups. And a really simple example is buyers and sellers, right? So you can create these smart groups for buyers in a specific zip code or city. So maybe someone is tagged as a buyer and you've already added the location that they're interested in. Rise can now use that information to automatically place them into the right smart group, which means once you've done the initial step and added the contact details, the system can help you organize those contacts.
And that's a really good starting point. If an agent only has a few minutes today and they want to do one meaningful thing to really, get the most out of today's episode, I'd say open a contact, fill in whatever information you know, and start there. You can add in buyer, you can add in seller, location, whatever you know, everything counts. That's just a perfect way to get in there. Keep it simple. Don't get complicated or overwhelmed.
I agree. My favorite thing is to do it over coffee, right? So every morning you sit down at your desk, you've got your hot cup or cold cup of coffee, and you're drinking that coffee. Spend those few minutes updating as many contacts as you can and add what you know. Start building that framework of this is what I'm focusing on first thing in the morning, and it'll eventually start to add up.
Yeah, and I love that. It's so simple. Like you can just take a couple minutes in the morning as part of your habit, and build that consistency in, sets the tone for your day. It lets you get some really important, but not very hard work out of the way that's going to pay off for you every single day going into the future with your business. Those details start um, feeding into your smart groups. It lets you make smarter marketing decisions later and automate things once you're ready. Send messages that are more relevant. It's just too easy not to do.
Yeah, and all of these small steps start to lead to those big results, right? So the biggest takeaway here is don't get overwhelmed. I know easier said than done.
Yep.
But it's easy to look at your database and feel like you have to fix everything at once. But small steps are what going to create the big results. So tagging your contacts can change the game when it comes to email marketing, and we have the metrics to really back that up here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, no one's going to talk to every single contact in their database every single day. Let's say you have 50 or even 25. You're probably not going to make all 25 phone calls, and that's okay. You can update 5 contacts. You can add a tag to 10 this week. You don't need to do more. It's those little things that are going to build over time. Your database is going to get cleaner, better. You can make smarter marketing, smarter decisions. You can operate quicker. You can automate things. And then you can really start engaging with your sphere in these really dynamic and powerful ways.
Couldn't agree more, Kelly. This is the one small thing that you can allocate to yourself on a daily basis that's going to make a really big change. So I encourage you all to do that. Thanks so much for joining us for the first episode of Rise with Us. As mentioned, in the next episode, we're going to build on this conversation and talk a little bit about how you can use your segmentation and grouping to send and automate some market insights. So if you're following along, your your action item today is simple. Spend 5 minutes updating contact details in Rise. Start with one group, one tag, or one piece of information you already know.
Exactly. Keep it simple, make it manageable. Remember, every small updates helps you market smarter.
Yep. So we hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Taylor.
Bye.
Bye.